If you're planning to make the 18650 battery pack, harvested cells from old laptop battery or refurbished cells, before you go to this configuration, you have to do some important test for that cells, because without testing that cells, without separate the good or bad cells, if you make the battery pack, it will very danger, or it will not work well, or it will catch the fire, which is very danger and not recommend. Do not make the battery pack until you do complete test of that cells. It is a little long procedure, but at the end the result is very good. So what you have to do, you have to buy the first thing, that 18650 battery holders is very cheap available. Then if you have a charger, variable charger, you can use them parallel or you can use them in series, and then we will check the cells. And then the next thing you need, that the cell holder for finished product. When we are going to assemble the batteries, we need to use that one. You can use this kind of electrical wire which have a single, because it's very easy to do the soldering on that legs. So I will use now 3S configuration and make and solder that all, and I show you. The first we parallel them. Okay, I use the 100-watt soldering iron because it can very fast solder. And now its parallel is done. Now we will series them. Series connection are done, and now we will install the BMS. Okay, now all is installed, and I installed the BMS, that is just only for charging purpose, 40 amp, very cheap. Now finally we have to use the multimeter on connectivity mode, and we have to test all that leads. One probe is connected to one side, and we have to hear the buzzer sound. Make sure all connections are good. Now middle one. You see, this one is no connected. This one connected, but this one not. I have to test this one. I just sign it so I can check the soldering connection. Did you see that one? So let me solder this one. Okay, we can hear. So this all we have to test. Okay, all connections are good. Now it's time to put into charging place. So always remember, when you do the soldering like this, make sure all connections are very strong, and then double, triple verify. Use multimeter to connectivity and check the buzzer. All is perfect connection. So everything is good, fine. And now it's time to put into the docking station, and we will use that cells to put in charging. I will use my solar charge controller, that is a 40 amp maximum rating, and I have a 400-watt panel, so I can get enough amps to test my cells. Okay, our charging docking station is ready to put the cell, and our controller is disconnected from solar, from the other battery. Inverter is ready. Now the second thing, what we have to do, we have to use the multimeter and test the voltage of the cells. We will do in 3 categories: the higher voltage, the little lower voltage, and very lower voltage. We will separate into 3. Okay, here is 4.23. This one we will keep into the high voltage side. Here I put this. Here will be above than 4 volt or 4 volt, all will be here. Okay, this cell have only 2 volt. So what we have to do, we will totally separate below than 3 volt cells. Here is another 1.6 volt. Here, very low voltage separate. Okay, the voltage test is complete. Above than 4 volt I put here, below than 4 volt and above than 3 volt is here. Below than 3 volt all is that cells, which is very low voltage. Now what we have to do, they are already good voltage, we will put into the dock and then we discharge them first, then we recharge. Okay, the positive, it will be like this first and then, so the now I will first connect the battery to charge controller here and then we on the solar. You know, when you start discharging test, you stay at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you keep monitor because you have to keep hands to touch the cells, which is good or not good. You have to keep monitor. That is the most important test before going to build that big battery pack. Did you see this one? Before you are going to build this one, you have do many time charge and discharge this one. Remember, test is running on, keep the screwdriver near it, because if any time any cell is getting horrible, so you can instantly pop up without leaving your battery and run away. So this is, keep it here near. Okay, and also if you can touch your BMS, little bit warm, acceptable, no problem. These 3 cells was very low voltage, but right now is not too much hot, just very little warm. So we are keep continue going on, and the voltage is 11 volt, yeah, something like this, 11.6. so the inverter is running on and everything, the test is right now going on. Okay, that is the day number 4 and this is a final test of this badge, which is multiply charge via charge controller or solar charge controller with 15 amps or 16 amps or 20 amps. So the bad cells are removed, the good cells are all placed. So this is a final charge, and after that I will take out the cells and we will check the voltage. Day number 5, the tests are complete of that cells. The bad cell, the lower voltage and overheated cell are separated. The good cells are here, which is finally test, charge and discharge every day, almost 5 days. All cell voltage is properly checked, nicely placed into the battery holders, and it's ready for spot welding. Okay, this is a total 96 cells, 32P. So this two parallel, this two parallel, this two parallel, positive, negative, positive. So estimated this one is 1.6 amp hour each cell in mixed configuration. So it's a 500 watt hour plus in 12 volt. So 100 watt fan on AC load, it can run 5 hour or little bit more. So it's time to do the spot welding. Okay, the battery pack is complete, it's spot welded and the BMS is connected. The terminal are, one is short, one is long because of his mistakenly, shorted. It can be a danger, so this way one is long, one is short is much better. This is a 40 BMS. So now we are completely assemble our battery pack, and the final charge and final discharge in the build configuration we will. Okay, that is our complete 3.7 or 4.2 volt module, which is we test in a past weeks using this our docking station, and that was a charge controller with 4 TM, and that is our inverter which we use for discharging. That is our two BMS 4 TM, which is parallel to for charging, and for discharging is direct negative positive to inverter, because the inverter have a auto shutdown on 10.5 volt low voltage disconnect. Very long procedure, very long monitoring, checking multiple time temperature of the cell, which cell is getting hot, we remove it, which cells getting good charge, and then getting auto discharge. After 3 days the voltage is getting below than 3.0 volt, so we separate. Here is the separated cells, that is go below than 3 volt after 2 days, and the temperature was getting high of that cell. I separate ready. That cells cannot be put inside in the this pack, because the over temperature and the other voltage cells can make damages. So that cells can use in flashlight, in this kind of radio, and our that cells also tested ready. So this is the proper way to build your battery pack, doing multiple tests, the low voltage or high voltage, high temperature, and separate the bad cells. That was a simple test using the charge controller, or you can use your other charger using the inverters for discharging. So that was everything. Thank you very much. Make your battery pack very nicely. And one very important in the last, why we keep space between modules, because the positive side, that one which have a fuse, if some kind accidentally it gets spark or something, so it will not explode. That is the reason we keep the space between that modules. Okay, keep the space between the module, do not stick it, it's danger. Thank you. Thank you.